हेलो लर्नर्स, वेलकम टू टुडेज सेशन। आज के सेशन में हम बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट विषय के बारे में बात करेंगे। द टॉपिक ऑफ डिस्कशन टुडे इज़ वर्ल्ड पॉपुलेशन डे 2025। दिस टॉपिक इज़ रिलेटेड टू द कोर्स MSD 020 of Mass Program. The title of the course is Population, Health and Sustainability. The students of appreciation course on population and sustainable development will also find the topic interesting and relevant. So, a few days ago, the world celebrated World Population Day. It falls on 11th July every year. Let us discuss more about this day, why it is celebrated, what needs to be done, what are the issues that we are facing today because of increasing population, and how sustainable development goals are linked to population, what determines the population at a given place. So learners, you must be aware that World Population Day is observed every year on 11th July. Now, why 11th July? Because in 1987, on 11th July, we turned 5 billion. The population of the world was 5 billion on 11th July 1987. That was the realization time. On that day, the world leaders realized that growing population is a concern. It is a concern for the emerging economies, it is concern for the health of the people, and in due course of time, if the population is not checked, it may lead to adverse consequences on environment and it will put a strain on the natural resources. So following this, from 1990 onwards, we are observing this day. So the first World Population Day was observed on 11th July 1990. Since then, this was the year 2025, we have been observing this day. Now, why do we celebrate this day or why do we observe this day? The basic idea is that since that time till today, we are struggling to know about the population ideas, the different aspects of the population growth, how does it differ from nation to nation, and what effect does it have on the coming generations, what does the various terms related to population. So on this day, the issues related to population, population growth, population density, and all these are discussed. The awareness is made and it is like to sensitize the people that the increase in number of the individuals, it has an effect on the health of the planet. We do not have infinite resources. So in the present state, what we are observing is that the exponential growth of the population, the more number of individuals on this planet, they are putting a strain on the natural resources. We need more food, we need more land, and not only the number of the people is a problem, but rather today we are also observing that there is a great disparity. If you look at the world population figures across the world, you will find that there is a variation in the population. In some countries, there is expanding population. In some countries, there is declining population. While in some other countries, there is a stable population growth. So, in our country also, if you can see that there is a huge disparity. So, every year the UN gives us a theme, and on the basis of that theme, various activities, various events, seminars, awareness sessions are being conducted to make people know about the various concerns of population. So, the year 2025, the theme of this year was, or rather I should say the theme is, empowering young people to create the families they want in a fair and hopeful world. That means it seeks to make the individuals make informed choices about the number, the size of the family, and it is noticed that many a times the youth are not empowered. They do not have full knowledge and do not have access to their reproductive rights. So this year, basically, the theme revolves around empowering the young individuals. Empowerment in terms of their accessibility and also the availability of the various means and measures so that they can have they can have full enjoyment of their rights, and we are able to create families which are sustainable and which are there in a fair and hopeful world. So every birth should be a welcome birth, every child should be a chosen child. So those type of things, because we have noticed not only in the rural scenarios, but there are various percentage of the childbirth which are taking place today, they are unwanted, they are unintended. So in such a scenario, it is very difficult to maintain good family health. It is very important to look into the maternal health. It is also important to look into the welfare of the family, and therefore the theme is very apt because it empowers the individual so that they can make the informed decisions, the responsible decisions. Now, before we look into that what population means and what does it relate to various other factors, let us have a look at what are the trends. Where do we stand if you look at India? So, if you just now we said that on 11th July 1987 we turned 5 billion. The journey from 1 billion to 5 billion, and today we are really crossing 8 billion. This journey has been very uneven. Why it is so? Because it took almost 200 years to reach 1 billion, while on the other hand we reached 5 billion to 6 billion to 7 billion, and now from 7 billion to 8 billion, it is just a matter of 10 years and 12 years that we are crossing the billion mark. So, learners, don't you think so that it is a scary situation where what we are observing is that it used to take huge period of time. It was not easy the 1 billion mark. But on 15th November 2022, officially we were 8 billion people residing on this planet. And the figures are growing, the number is growing. So it is expected that another 60 years we will be adding 2 billion people more, and this is also true that the overall world's fertility is declining. Women are having less children as they were having before. But again, we are seeing that there is a rise in population. Why? Because first of all, there is a disparity. While countries like Japan, etc., they are facing problems because of the elderly population. The birth rates have fallen very, very down. But on the other hand, we have various Asian countries, African countries, where the birth rates are still higher. So that is the disparities what we see in the world. And another thing, if you look at there is a term called the replacement level fertility. And the ideal replacement level fertility is 2.1. And it denotes that what is the rate at which the present generation will eliminate the coming generation. It explains the balance between the incoming and the outgoing generation. As simple as that we can understand. But in more than half of the countries, the replacement level fertility is below 2.1. When we say 2.1, this is the ideal. And if it is below 2.1, that means the population is declining. Women are not having that. In 1970s, the average number of children a woman had was 3, but now the number of this number has been continuously declining. So that is one of the trend what we are observing. And by the late 2070s, the number of persons which are 65 years or older, it is projected to surpass the number which is under 18. Can you imagine that by 2070s, the proportion of the elderly population will be much, much higher. There will be few individuals who are below 18 years of age, and there will be many individuals who will be above 60-65 years of age. So this is again a disparity. This is again a change. This is the demographic changes which we have started feeling these things in our certain pockets of the population. We can see that this is a situation. For a country, if we talk about in the Kerala, there is a rise in the elderly population you will find, while in some countries there is still an expanding population. If you look at India, As of 2025, India's population is 1.4. We are number one in terms of world population. We have surpassed China, and this is not only because of the birth rates, but also because of the fact that we are experiencing population momentum in our country. The number of people in the reproductive phase are more, and because of that, the population is continuously increasing. So imagine like there is a train which is running very fast. So in spite the fact that the brakes have been applied, still for certain period of time it continues to pass on like that. It continues to speeden up. So that is what the current situation is, and therefore it is believed that around India's population will start stabilizing around 2060 or 2065, and thereafter it will start declining. So we have still many more years where we will experience that population numbers are very high. And if you look at India's share towards the world population, we are almost 17.78% of the world population is of India. And you know how much of the land do we have? That is only 2%. So 2% of the land and 17% of the world population. You can imagine the level of the competition for the resources and the level of the demand supply gap what we are observing, and therefore we must be very thoughtful about taking the issues of population very seriously. If you talk about the population density, means number of people who are there in 1 square kilometer area. In 2011 census, if you see, it was around 385 persons per square kilometer. In the present times, it is 492 people per square kilometer. That is also the thing what we are experiencing. That why do you say that there is a crowded markets, crowded public places, and people are struggling for the space. Similarly, as we have seen that we have recently surpassed China, the growth numbers are very high. Another trend which we we are talking about in terms of the issues related to India is urbanization. See, learners, still we know that majority of the population, like 60-65% of the population of our country still resides in the rural India. But at times, if you talk about 2011, it was 31% who were like living in the urban areas. In 1951, just after the independence, there was only 17% of the India's population was urban, and mainly it was the rural population. So from 1950 onwards to in 2025, there is almost 36 to 38% of the people who are living in the urban areas. Now, this is a trend, and it is clearly visible in the metropolitan cities. So there is a pressure on the infrastructure, and in the urban areas, like there is a rise of mega cities which have a population of over 10 million, like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad. These cities are having a lot of immigration of the people from the rural area. They're coming in search of jobs, in search of better education opportunities, better living conditions, and in order to improve their standard of living and all. But these are the urban conglomerates. They are putting a strain on the resources. So we are seeing that, how do you cope up with all these? How do we see that are our policies, our programs, government priorities, are they in this line? Will we be able to cater to the growing urban population in the times to come? This will further increase. There will be further strain on the resources. The land is limited, the area is limited, and so therefore we are seeing the problems in the urban area. And rural to urban migration is a major cause for this thing, because people move to cities in search of better living conditions. So at another end, what we are seeing is that our population is urbanizing, and if you just look at the living conditions in the rural area and the urban area, you will find that most of these migrations which are taking place, mostly they are also leading to socio-economic changes, because many a times it happens that the male members of the family, they move out in search of better employment opportunities, and the burden of agriculture and the elite sector falls solely on the shoulders of the women. So what I'm trying to convey is that these are not the trends which we can see only in terms of numbers. We cannot only isolate our analysis, our concerns to just the figures which are rising in the urban areas and getting less in the rural areas, but it has got a socio-economic consequences also. So when we think about population is not just number, it is a human issue. It relates to people, it relates to well-being of the people. It also means that we have a social system in such a manner that we are able to provide good living conditions to the people. So rural areas are also experiencing slower population growth, and in some rural areas, if you go, there is absolutely zero density. No person is living in these areas. So this is a change what we are observing. Another major change what we see is the gender aspect. Gender and the skewed sex ratio, the male and the female. If you look at the National Family Health Surveys data, which is the survey which is done to look into the male and the females in the population. So we have this figure which tells us that the situation has improved since the NFHS 4 that was done in 2011, and now we have NFHS findings from NFHS 2019 and 21. If you look at the rural sex ratio or sex ratio at birth, or you take the figures of the missing girls per year, you will find that yes, it has shown a better picture mark. For example, if you look at the sex ratio at birth, so it was 919 and now it is 929 girls per 1000 boys. So it is an increase. It was bad in 2011, which was 919, but then it has been increasing. Similarly, if you look at the data of the missing girls per population per year, if you see, so it was 4,80,000 according to 2011 census, and now it is 4,10,000. So it is declining. The figures tells us a story that still the situation is not ideal. Still the sex ratio is skewed in various pockets of the country. Still son preferences prevail. Female feticide is still an issue, but yes, slowly things are improving because of knowledge, awareness, better government policies and better health infrastructure. So looking into all this, these are the trends. So when we formulate the policy for the next 25 years, suppose we are moving towards Viksit Bharat 2047. So when there will be 2047, we should be able to look at the demographics of today and see the projections, that what will be the number of the girls, what will be the number of the urban population, what will be the number of the elderly population, and accordingly we should project, we should see that how our country will look like at that time. So what policies we are framing today should be in accordance to the future things that are coming. Similarly, one of the most important concern is aging population. Aging population, as we were just thinking, we were discussing before, that there will be more number of the elders than the number of the minors below 18 years of age. So it is continuously increasing. Now it is another issue that because of the pressures of the population and because of the increasing life expectancy of the people, the signs which are very clear is that the number of the elderly people is rising. We would be witnessing the declining population surely in the years to come. So we must understand For example, life expectancy, if you take, it was 42 years in 1960 and today it is more than 70 years. People are living longer, but they are not living healthier. This is another concern. So we have improved the lifespan of the people, but health span is further going down. So for the aging population, for the elderly people, which was not the case the other countries and few times before. So we have the economics and do we have the social systems in such a manner that we will be able to cater to the requirements of that elderly population group, because they will be still be living longer, they will not be working, they do not fall under the working class population, they are the dependent ones. So are we able to feed them, are we able to provide them good facilities, do we have that kind of plans and policies? That also needs to be discussed. So another, for example, this is also a socio-economic trend that not only in the cities but in the rural areas you find that the young people, they are migrating to urban areas, and the poor elderly people are left behind in the rural areas without any help, without any caretakers. So this also becomes an issue, that how they are going to survive, how they will be able to take care of themselves in case of any medical issue. So here pitches it. That is why the importance of the population studies, the importance of demography, and ultimately the observance of World Population Day becomes crucial, because on this day we ponder on these issues which we will be facing in the years to come. And it has got, if you talk about the aging population, it has got an economic impact, because as we were discussing that they are not working, they are the dependent population, and many who have never been in the formal system of employment, they do not receive any pension or any monetary help from anywhere. So they have to depend on the following generation, and without having any kind of financial you can say assistance to them, there is an economic impact. The government is burdened to provide them all the basic facilities in situations where these type of the population is growing. We need elderly friendly infrastructure at the public places, at the markets, at institutions, because in the years to come they will be the majority. So we need all that type of infrastructure, whether in the public buses or trains or in other forms of commute, or on roads, or on parks, or on markets, wherever we go, but which are not there at present. Then there is an implication for the workforce also, because we have to see that at what age we are making our employees get retired. They still have 20-25 years more to live. So in that conditions, how they will be able to meet their ends? So this has a lot of discussion, lot of things are interrelated. And another issue what in populations we mostly discuss is what is the impact of overpopulation, and we are very well known to this topic that increase in population, there are two things: the increase in the number of the individuals who are inhabiting this planet. So if the number is more, definitely we need more food to feed them, we need more space to accommodate them, everything you need in accordance to the number which is rising. Another important thing is that not only the numbers are rising today, but because of the economic growth, the affluence of the people is rising. So the amount of ecological footprint, the amount of resources an individual is consuming, per capita energy requirement and per capita water consumption, that is also rising, because that is related to our mode of living, it is related to our commute, it is related to our travel, it is related to our housing, it is related to the food which we are eating. So things are related in this manner. So overpopulation is not just numbers and statistics in population, but the affluence, the type of the number of the resources that we are consuming, the amount of land which we are consuming, the amount of emissions, the carbon emissions an individual does. So therefore, comparing the lifestyle of an individual in US and comparing the lifestyle of that person who is residing in India, there is a huge difference. Unemployment is an issue because people do not have any, formalized employment opportunities, so that becomes an issue. Healthcare, education, environmental degradation. You must be aware of all these terms, because whenever we discuss any type of problem, we always come to the fact that all the problems are because of we have increase in population in our country. So if you look at India, and we are proud of our democracy, we are proud of our demographic dividend, and our population, the window is like we have a huge working age population. 50% plus of India is under the age of 25 years. This is a boon for us. It is a blessing for us, because a country which has got such a huge workforce can do wonders economically also. But this demographic dividend can turn into demographic disaster if we are not able to provide them with the opportunities that this young group should have. Young population is full of energy, full of ideas, and needs a proper direction. If educational opportunities are properly provided, if avenues of employment, livelihood opportunities are provided, if proper healthcare facilities are given, and gender equality established in the society, then only we can think of making this demographic dividend work for us. And so therefore, there is a need for huge investments in health, education, and skilling of the population. Another important thing is that, learners, you must have read about the Sustainable Development Goals. The achievement of Sustainable Development Goals is not possible if the population matters are not taken into consideration. Population is directly related to various SDGs, like SDG 3 is good health and well-being, and investment in population, in maternal health care, in infant mortality health, infant care. This is ultimately we are seeing that SDG 3 is properly attained. Similarly, SDG 4, which points towards quality education, SDG 5 is gender equality, SDG 6 is clean water and sanitation, SDG 10 reduced inequalities, SDG 11 is sustainable cities and communities. So looking into SDGs, we can see that how they are related, and we cannot distinguish or distinctly place the SDGs and population. They are interrelated, and achievement of one leads to attainment of the other. And therefore, in this regard, government has done a lot of work. National Population Policy, Mission Parivar, Ayushman Bharat, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, Digital Health and Family Planning Services. These are the innovative initiatives by the government, because the government is keen to work on the population issues and to make awareness regarding the population in our country, and has taken up so many steps, so many programs to see that we are able to have a population which is healthy, which is educated, and which contributes towards the economy of the country. So with this, we end today's session. Thank you so much.